Hey, how's everyone doing today? So I wanted to go over a couple topics, mainly on hiding yourself. So this is gonna kind of be a video for everybody, but on the back end, when we get to talking about Proxychains and Tor Browser, that's more aimed towards hackers. So we're gonna jump into it with why you need to secure yourself first off. So anybody your ISP can see what you're doing pretty much at any point in time. So that's not cool off the bat. Then if you go anywhere onto a public network, like, publicly available airport or, cafe or something like that, everybody there that's not running protection, basically their data is just out there for all kinds of attacks, man in the middle attacks, anything that's, evil twin attacks, which is a man in the middle attack. It's just kind of out there. So you have like no protection. So that's going to be the first thing we're going to talk about today, is going to be a VPN, which I think everybody by now should either know about, heard of, or be using. And really everybody should be using one, because you have tools like the one I'm going to show you today out there, Proton VPN, which is 100% free, unlimited data, and you can connect it up to whatever you need it for. Now people complain that it's slower than paid for VPNs and it has less servers. That's, go pay for one then. I have no issues with it, and I'm about to show you here in a second. So what this does is it will encrypt my information. So it basically just jumbles up all my information and makes it unreadable to anybody that's trying to read it, and then sends it to where it's trying to get. So that makes it harder for people like your internet service provider, because it goes out to that server encrypts it, and then goes through. So like your internet service provider can't see what you're actually doing. So it also changes your IP address, which is pretty decent, because then people can't get your exact location. But that's not foolproof with a VPN. VPN providers might, give it up, your IP address, if it comes to legal matters and whatnot. So also there's logs still. One thing I like about Proton too is they claim that they don't keep logs. Who knows if that's true or not? So long story short, here it is, Proton. It's up and running right now. I'm connected. This is not my IP address. I am connected in Miami. As you can see, I ran a DNS leak. What's my IP? It says Miami, Florida, and here's the IP that is not my IP. And then DNS leak shows it running back to Data Camp Limited, Miami, Florida, with that IP address. And everybody that talks about speed, you can see I ran a speed test on it. You can see it's all the same, and this is my speeds. So I wouldn't call that slow by any means at all. So I wanted to cover VPN at the beginning of this, because I think that everybody should have one, be using one at this point, to try to encrypt your data and really take back some of your privacy, because you deserve it. We all do as human beings. So yeah, get a VPN. Look into it. If you want to pay for one, you'll get better features. Also, it does cool things like you can set your location to somewhere else in the world and like watch things there that aren't here. So like say Netflix show that's showing something in like London that's not showing here in America. You can watch that if you were to ping to one of their servers over there. So check them out, look into it. You need to be a little bit safer with your information, because people can just read everything you're doing if they really want to be malicious. There's a lot of people that have access to do it, and it's really not that hard. So check into a VPN. Okay, now that we've gone over a VPN and you have your basic level of security down, I'm going to move into layering, which when you talk about security, any type of security, really, not just especially cybersecurity, but any type of security, really. The best type of security is a layered security, one that you have to really peel it back like an onion to get through. So when we move on to the next layer, we start talking about something called the Tor network. So the Tor network, basically what it does is it bounces your IP off of 3 nodes. So when your information comes in, it's encrypted. It starts bouncing from node to node, and it decrypts from each node that it hits, and then it goes out the other end, and it's normal by the time it gets out the final end. And this is good because it's hard to find you. You're bouncing off of nodes all over the world, and these nodes are just owned by regular people who decide to just throw up a Tor network. So that's cool. But we have a problem in there in the fact that these people can also decide that they want to intercept your traffic. And the network's been known to, at some times, work with the police. But if we couple this with our VPN, so we run our VPN and then we run through the Tor network, we're pretty solid, we're pretty secure because our information goes in encrypted. So anybody trying to man in the middle of it just gets a bunch of encrypted data that's going to be really hard to crack. Anybody trying to find us, now we're bouncing through 4 different nodes instead of just 3 because our VPN added another layer. So all in all, it's pretty darn hard to find somebody using this method, a VPN and the Tor network. I extensively tested this. There's a couple things that you need to understand about this, though. It's gonna move much slower because you're bouncing off so many nodes. You're gonna move much slower. You're gonna get websites that don't want to load. You're gonna get images that don't want to load. But if you're really doing something for work, I'm going to assume you're doing it for good because you shouldn't be doing bad things and illegal things ever. And like say you're doing a bug bounty, and one of the rules of engagement is that they can't know you're there, or they can't lead back to you, or they need you to use a specific range of IPs. You could do it with the method we're speaking of too. So this is really aimed at just really hiding yourself real good and encrypting your data and just really being secretive. So you have a couple ways to do this. So you can use the Tor Browser, which is very easy to install, and it works just like your normal browser, just a bit slower. Let's see here. I'll give you an example. DuckDuckGo.com, and you can see how it's taking a minute to get over there. Oh, I typed it in wrong. Okay, so DuckDuckGo.com, you can see what's my IP. You can see how it's moving a bit slower, but it still works like normal. It's perfectly fine. So you can see the IP we're bouncing off of. It is not even telling me where the IP is. Looks like you're using a VPN. Okay, let's go back to DuckDuckGo. Just press back. And let's go try the second one and see if it tells us where we are. This is also giving you a little bit of an example of what it's like to use it. Okay, let's see here. Okay, this one's not telling us where we are either. I know one that will though. DNS leak. This one should tell us where we are after we run it. Let's see here. So this is the Tor browser. The first time you open it up, it'll give you a little tutorial, tell you about your safety and how they keep you, concealed and your security. We're in Norway. We're currently in Norway. I'm definitely not in Norway, but this is saying we're currently in Norway. So I just want to do a quick rundown on Tor Browser. Now we're going to get into the real meat of what I wanted to discuss. Okay, so now we've covered our VPN, we've covered Tor Browser, and what the Tor network is. So now I'm going to cover Proxychains, which is how I personally use the Tor network. I find it easier, more convenient. And the point of using Proxychains with the Tor network is that I can use it with applications like Nmap and conceal myself while I'm doing scans on a target for vulnerabilities. So we're going to jump into that. If you have Tor installed, you should be able to which Tor, and it'll tell you where it's at or which proxy chains, and it'll tell you they're installed. If they're not installed, really simple, sudo apt install Tor, and this is already installed, so it shouldn't, or sudo apt install proxy chains. I would do 4. And as you can see, it's already installed. So super easy to install if you need to install them right there. If you're using Kali Linux, they should be in there already. I'm using Ubuntu right now, so I did have to install them. Moving on. So once you've got those installed, there's a couple things you need to do. So you're going to go service Tor status, and you can see it's not running. So you'll go service Tor start. And service Tor status again, and now it's running, as you can see. Okay, so Tor is running now, but I need to pop over and edit one of the files for Proxychains. So it's going to be in your root directory etc, and then you can sudo nano Proxychains for config. So what we're going to go in here is we're going to uncomment dynamic, recomment strict. So this way our IP can actually rotate. We're rotating off of proxy servers instead of staying stuck to a certain connection. Proxy DNS needs to make sure it's uncommented. That way you're hiding your original DNS. Basically, if this isn't commented and this isn't running properly, they can still find you, because you'll have a DNS leak, which will lead them back to your internet service provider, which from there it's relatively easy to find you. So we don't need to do anything else in here. I can just save it and exit. Okay, we'll clear this, and then we'll go proxy chains Firefox, and can't load proxy chains. Preloading proxy chains can't load process. Sudo proxy chains Firefox. Permissions denied. Okay, we'll be back in just a second. Okay, so I just had to take the slash off the end of it because I was tab finishing and it was adding the slash on the end of it. So that wasn't working, and boom, we are up, and you can see we're bouncing node to node now. And you're gonna have to leave this running the whole time. It'll stop running the second you exit out of this browser. When you boot this browser up, let me explain to you like this. Do not have multiple browser windows open. See how it exited? So if I was to open this browser right now and then come down here, now I have the Firefox browser opened already. Come down here and run this command up again. Okay, boom, see? It's not actually doing anything. You're going to have 2 browsers open. As you can see, I have 2 open, but it's not actually doing anything. Do not try to run with a browser open already, because it won't work. And then if you get any problems from there, that is your problem. So we'll run it. It'll boot the browser up. We'll go duck. Sorry, my fingers aren't working right now. Duck, duck, go. And we'll go, we'll go DNS leak. And we'll go to this one. And run the test, standard test. As you can see, it's still bouncing off nodes back here. So now we're encrypted. We are bouncing off of one node through our VPN, encrypted already, and bouncing off 2 other nodes and ending up in Italy. And yeah, I'm definitely not in Italy right now. So, super easy. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and I hope you guys have a great night. If you have any questions, leave a comment. If you have any comments on how I can make the videos better, leave a comment. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.